Welcome back to Farmers Inside Track, South Africa's most downloaded farmers podcast. I'm your host, Patricia Tembo, and today's episode is brought to you by Netafim. The sugarcane industry is a perfect example of the impact it can have when producers adopt precision practices. The implementation of precise drip irrigation practices in sugarcane fields continues to have a pivotal effect on the efficiency and sustainability of this industry. We are speaking to Gary Francis today of Netafim Southern and East Africa. He has been working in the irrigation industry for many years and will share his thoughts on precision practices and sustainability in large-scale sugarcane production. Gary Francis, welcome to Farmers Inside Track. It's a pleasure to have you on today's episode.
Thank you very much, Patricia, and thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome. So we are speaking all things Netafim, drip irrigation in sugarcane production. But before we get started, Gary, maybe you could just introduce yourself to the audience, those who may not be familiar with you or Netafim and the work that you do.
As you said, my name is Gary Francis. I'm the Key Accounts Manager in the Commercial Projects Department. We work in large-scale commercial projects in Eastern and Southern Africa. I joined Netafim in 2005, first of all as an automation technician. I have a background of farming tomatoes, peppers, herbs, cucumbers. I did that for about 17 years in the greenhouse sector. And then I joined Netafim as a technical advisor and automation technician. And for the last 15 years, I have been involved in sugarcane, where I was in the role of a technical advisor for Netafim South Africa on the KwaZulu-Natal North Coast and also into Eswatini. So it took me from greenhouses into sugarcane, which was, I must say, quite an adjustment. Everything in the greenhouse industry happens so fast. You're irrigating and applying fertilizer sometimes 8-9 times a day. Humidity, temperature is critically important all the time. You're growing in an artificial medium. And then to adjust to sugarcane and macadamias were the two main crops that I was dealing with. Everything happens much slower. You're irrigating once, sometimes twice a day. And there is times of the year where you go a couple of days where you're not irrigating. So that was quite an adjustment, but I really enjoyed it. And I've really enjoyed the last 15 years work with sugarcane. Netafim, for those that don't know, is the largest drip irrigation company in the world. We started drip irrigation over 60 years ago, started in Israel, in the deserts there, and has become the most efficient and water-wise irrigation system that there is. And Netafim, as I said, is the leaders globally in drip irrigation.
Thanks, Gary. I think it's quite fitting for our farmers who are listening for them to know that you do have over 17 years experience as a vegetable farmer and in the sugarcane industry, 15 years. It's not that you're selling or trying to pitch a product, but you actually have a deep understanding and lived experiences of, the challenges farmers have and the insights into a farmer would want to optimize their irrigation system. So it is a priority for Netafim to drive efficiency and the adoption of precision irrigation. And this includes the sugar industry. Why is that?
As I said earlier, Patricia, I live on the north coast of KwaZulu-Natal. And it's the heart of traditional sugarcane country in South Africa. And when I look around and I see the amount of development that is taking place and the sugarcane land usage for sugarcane is just diminishing every single year. And I think along with water usage, we know that water is one of our very precious resources and is very limited, as well as energy. Energy is another resource that we really have to look after. And those three things combined, I think Netafim's drip irrigation can offer a good solution for all three. The days of ranching sugarcane where you've got 1,000 hectares and you're getting 60 tons a hectare and you want to go bigger, so you just debush a whole area, another 500 hectares, and you plant again, those days are gone. We now need to look at getting maximum yield out of every square meter on a farm for those three reasons that I mentioned. One, land is becoming more scarce, water is becoming more scarce, and energy is becoming more expensive and, in a sense, also unreliable and scarce. So going back to what I said, we want to get maximum yield out of every square meter. In sugarcane, we put the drip irrigation below the surface, what we call subsurface drip irrigation. It's normally 120 to 150 millimeters below the surface, so it's right in the root zone. And we are applying fertilizer and water through the drip directly into the root zone with zero evaporation. So we are saving vast amounts of water through no runoff. We're saving vast amounts of water through no evaporation. We'll be saving a lot of water in the fact that it's very low flow drippers that we use. We're looking at 1 liter an hour drippers. And then with the energy, because we have such low flows and low pressure with drip irrigation, we use a lot less energy. So in other words, our pumps that we use on other systems, big overhead systems, that same pump we can use doing a much bigger area of land in drip irrigation. Or we can use smaller size pumps for the same size area as you would for those overhead irrigations. And because we're putting the fertilizer and the water directly into the root zone, and we can schedule our irrigation very carefully, we can push our yields right up. So instead of getting 60 tons a hectare, we can, depending obviously on climate and soil, there's many factors, but I'm talking generally, we can at least double what traditional irrigation systems and rain-fed sugarcane is doing. And we normally do it over a 12-month period rather than a 18 or 24-month period.
That sounds very efficient. As you've said, water or the fertilizers directed right to the root zone. And as you said, reduces energy costs even. So how does drip irrigation technology and the practices contribute to the success of many of the large sugar estates we have on the country and in the continent? You've mentioned using the technology, you're seeing reduction in energy costs and less water waste and even fertilizer waste. So how does it contribute to the success of sugarcane estates within the region that we're in?
It's a lot more manageable for farmers. When I say that for farm managers, we normally put up a valve cluster or a fertigation cluster, and from there, that's centralized control. So traditionally, what we'd put in is 9 valves, and each valve just over 11 hectares. And it's one central point on the farm, which is basically covering 100 hectares. From that point, we would inject all the fertilizer into the fields. And as I said to you, all the drip is below the surface. So the fertilizer goes directly into the root zone, and normally we would design for 3 valves to run at a time. So it's basically 30 hectares, which is irrigating 3 times a day at 6-hour shifts. So you're irrigating for 18 hours a day. While we allow that extra time is if there's any load shedding or instability of electricity and you need to catch up, you've got another 6 hours that you can catch up on. We always, when we design for worst case scenarios, in other words, the hottest time of the year, the peak growing season, your maximum water usage. So that's what we normally look at when we design. If you're getting, let's take, for example, a 1,000 hectare farm, and if you're getting 60 tons a hectare, and now you reduce that to a 500 hectare farm and you're getting 120, 130 tons a hectare, it means you've got a lot less traffic on the farm. You don't have as many trucks running up and down during haulage time, to have as many tractors needed, required for land prep. You don't have as much labor which is required, and you're getting the same, if not more, tons annually for your cane. So there's a lot of labor costs which are saved. As I said, you've got electricity savings, you've got water savings, and also you've got your diesel and tractor costs which are being saved. As I said to you, with the fertigation room that we have, the estate manager has got a one-stop shop where he goes into, and in that central fertigation room, he can see exactly what the pressure is at each valve. He can see what the flow rate is. He can see the amount of fertilizer which has been applied to his crop. And he's got one cluster house attendant, one person looking after 100 hectares in that cluster house. Automation is something which we can also add to the cluster houses, which has changed the game completely in terms of farm management.
It does sound like drip irrigation can get quite technical, especially for farmers who aren't familiar with the system. And even farmers who are, you'd want to make sure that are you getting optimal use out of the irrigation system. I know Netafim has long partnerships with some of the sugar estates, but what kind of support does Netafim offer in the field?
We do. We have very long-standing relations with probably some of the biggest sugar producers in Africa, in Eswatini, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, Mauritius, Senegal, just to name a few. And in many of these estates, we've been directly involved. When I say we, I'm talking about the department I'm in, the projects department, where we do a complete turnkey for the customer or for the estate. We give a solution or offer that no other company, as far as I'm aware of, can offer. And we take it from A to Z. We do the complete irrigation design. We provide the agronomical support. We supply installation supervisors on the ground to oversee the entire installation, make sure it's done correctly to our standards. They then assist with the installation of the drip. They then oversee the planting, the germination, and they take it up to just past germination stage, assisting the estate or the farm managers on the estate. All of our installation technicians, except one, are ex-sugarcane farmers. These are guys with years and years of experience, most of them in Netafim, Eastern and Southern Africa. We've got a team of 6 guys. Of those 6 guys, they've all been with Netafim 5+ years, except for one guy. He's still in training at the moment. And these are guys, as I said, ex-sugarcane farmers. So they understand exactly what is required. And I don't think any other company, as far as I'm aware, can offer that service where we're putting such skilled guys on the ground with the farmer to hold the farmer's hand from A to Z. And we then offer after-sales service whereby we can do maintenance contracts with the estate. There are guys, the same specialized guys, go to the estate several times a year and just continue with training, hands-on training and maintenance. So they check the system, make sure that the system is still operating as it was the day it was commissioned. And if it isn't, then we just do a report and see where the problems lie, and we make a plan as to how we can resolve the problem and what was causing the problem. And what we found is with this ongoing support, it has made a huge difference in big estates, large-scale customers that we've been dealing with. Because the estates are so big, and it's very often difficult for the managers to get around to all the places. You know that old saying, sometimes you don't see the wood for the trees. When you're doing the same thing every single day, sometimes you miss small things here and there. Now you've got an extra set of eyes that's coming to your estate, a specialized set of eyes that knows exactly what to look for. And we pick up all the small issues and we quickly rectify them before they become big issues. So as far as I'm aware, we're the only company that offers such services.
Yeah, specialized support is quite important.
And training, ongoing training.
And now looking at the sugarcane production in Africa, I mean, right now at the time of recording, there are KZN sugarcane producers experiencing market challenges. So I'm interested to know your thoughts on the future of sugarcane production in Africa and what will be required for continued sustainability.
So my personal opinion is that sugar has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And I know in the last 50 years or 30 years, however long it's been, sugar has become a taboo word that no one wants to speak about. And everybody says so bad for you. My personal belief is everything is bad for you in excess. And as long as we take stuff in moderation, I believe that sugar will be around for the next 10,000 years. And we're going to continue to produce sugar. All farming has its ups and downs. I mean, I saw it when I was growing tomatoes. One year, the tomato price is sky high, and then the next year, it's rock bottom, and so it goes on. And you go through these peaks and troughs in all agriculture. And yes, it is concerning at the moment as we speak. A large company which is closing its doors, it is hard sore. But I believe there's opportunity. When one door closes, another door opens, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for that land and those mills to be bought, taken over, and reestablished. And it's an opportunity to do away with old technology, old systems, we can implement new technology and make those farms successful. As I said to you, automation is becoming one of the big buzzwords now in the industry. We as Netafim have the GrowSphere, which is our controller, and it enables a farmer or a farm manager to sit anywhere in the world, link into his pump room, into his cluster house, see exactly what valve is open, how much water has been delivered, what the pressure is, what the flow rate is. We can even link it to weather stations. It can interface with other apps. So there's so much information now which is at the hands of the farmer or farm manager that we didn't have 30, 40 years ago. So I believe that we're taking huge steps forward in agriculture in general, but particularly in sugarcane, which I think some people traditionally see as easy farming, and I can assure you it's not. There's a lot of challenges in farming sugarcane, and with those challenges, we need technology to help us and to make informed decisions. As I said to you, we can get the best yield out of every square hectare. When I look at countries like Holland, countries like Israel, they are very small countries, but they're so active in agriculture and they're so successful in growing. And that's because they don't have space and they have to get the maximum yield out of every square meter. And we need to take a leaf out of their book and apply the same practices in our agricultural environment, in the sugarcane environment.
As you're saying, the sugar industry is not stagnant. There will always be a need for sugar in our food systems. So what role does irrigation innovation play in this future and in making irrigation smarter and easier to manage at scale? As you said, sugarcane farming is not easy. So how would irrigation innovation make it easier to manage?
So as I said to you, with the introduction of automation, a farmer can sit anywhere, can even be on leave. In the past, farmers have been very scared to take leave because they don't know what's happening on their farm. With the introduction of automation now, they can go on leave, they can go on holiday and be sitting on the beach in Mozambique or wherever they might be and log onto their farm and see exactly what's happening. There's so many platforms now which can offer assistance to farmers in terms of yields, forecasts. There is satellite links that they can have a look and see where there's problems on their crops. So from above, there's drones, you name it. The farmers have got technology now available to them, which we've never had before. So the way I see it, we should be more than doubling our yields because we've got everything at our fingertips, which the farmers 30, 40 years ago didn't have. And we can actually be producing much better yields. And we are. There's farms, particularly in Zimbabwe, where we're getting crazy yields, massive yields. And it's just because of precision irrigation, giving exactly the right amount of water when the plant needs it and the right amount of fertilizer when the plant needs it. Yes, heat units and sunlight, and that also does play a role, but giving the plant exactly what it needs, not over-irrigating and not under-irrigating. And this can be done through the technology with irrigation scheduling, with automated controllers, makes it so much easier. You take the human element, that human factor completely out of play, and you let the controller run all the irrigation for you.
The future of automation in irrigation is sounding quite exciting, as you say, especially now that a farmer would be able to attend to other things on the farm. So it saves time. It will be saving time as well, where they would have been perhaps having to stay on a specific section of the field just to make sure everything is running as it should. That is quite exciting to hear. I don't know if there's anything else that you would like to touch on the topic of drip irrigation and sugarcane production before we close off the podcast.
In terms of the automation, having a greenhouse background, I've been involved in controllers and automation. My first introduction to them was 25, 30 years ago. And we are, in the greenhouse industry, you're reliant on automation to open and close vents, to control the heating in greenhouses, to control the cooling in greenhouses. So I'm very familiar with automation. And I understand for a lot of farmers, turning on a computer for the first time is really scary. For myself, the first time I sat behind a computer, I thought to myself, how am I ever going to get my head around this? But the technology and the way stuff has been written nowadays, it is so user-friendly. And honestly, farmers do not need to be scared of automation. It is user-friendly, a little bit of training, and you pick it up so quickly. And it's a game changer completely. It makes the farmer's life so much easier. And yes, your initial costs are there, your input costs, get all the equipment and set everything up. It's like buying a new computer. There's input costs no matter what you do. You buy a new computer, you need to purchase it and learn how to use it. It's the same with automation. You purchase it and then you need to learn how to use it. And learning how to use it is very simple. We are there to hold your hand and teach you exactly how to use it. And we've got support available 24/7 in various languages. If someone needs assistance in Portuguese, that's the beauty of being a global company. We've got people in almost every country in the world speaking hundreds of different languages, so we can provide assistance in whatever language people need assistance in. I encourage farmers to go onto our website, have a look at what we've got on offer. Go to YouTube. We've got thousands of videos on YouTube on drip irrigation. Just Google Netafim drip irrigation. You'll see the YouTube videos that come up. And farmers are welcome to contact me or any of my colleagues. We're here to help. Obviously, we want to see farmers successful. The more successful the farmers can be, obviously, the better it is for us in the long term. So we're here to help. I always say I think I've got the best job in the world because I'm not bound to any one office. I don't have to go into the same office every single day. I'm on a different farm in different countries, assisting farmers in the open air. I absolutely love it. I just love getting invited to farms to go and visit farmers. So please contact me with pleasure.
And that was Gary Francis of Netafim Southern and East Africa. This is Farmers Inside Track, and this episode was brought to you by Netafim. Thank you for listening and keep growing with us.